Hey everybody, ages ago, one of the comments suggested that I do a video on the podcast I listen to, and I listen to a lot. I pretty much always have things going on. As soon as my husband gets home from work, he's like, can we just turn off the sound for a little bit? I'm working on it. I'm sometimes trying to just listen to music and the like, but I don't know. All the things. I want to know all the things. So, podcasts. There are some really, really great ones. So I kind of divide them out into subject matter. See, the first kind of podcast subset that I listen to is just general lifestyle, family type things for, mainly women, I guess, but not necessarily exclusively women. So the first one for that is the Sorta Awesome podcast. They also have a Hangout group on Facebook and several spin-off groups, including Sorta Literary, which is all about books. I love those people. Like on Christmas, we did a book swap and the like. And so, yeah, Sorta Awesome. They cover everything from facial hair trimmers to refugees to how to have a more minimalist capsule wardrobe. I mean, there's all sorts of things that they talk about in their podcast, and I just love it. So sometimes I will laugh a lot. Sometimes I'll cry. Sometimes I always feel like it's done in a very non-judgy way and very humorous. And a lot of times I just talk back to it all the time. The next one that is similar to that is The Simple Show with Tish Oxenreider. And I followed her as a blogger for a very long time. So I was excited when she had a podcast come out. And she last year did a around the world trip that she took with her family. And so that was kind of cool to hear about those stories and traveling with kids. I know that's very intimidating for some people. We've done a little bit of it, not as much as I would like, but yeah, The Simple Show, she talks about a lot of different things, food, travel, books, again, and yeah, just family life, and I appreciate that. Another one is Shalom in the City, that one's a little bit more faith-based. She's talking about practical things you can do to help different community members or to connect to different areas of faith. Sometimes they'll do book reviews, or not big book reviews, but book clubs. This is definitely not relegated just to women, although she does refer to Shalom sisters quite a bit, and that's by Ashita Moore. It's just a great podcast, very informational, and kind of some really cool ideas on community involvement. Another one that I like is called The Smartest Person in the Room, and that she does lots of different series of things. Right now she's in the middle of kind of a religion one where she interviews different people of different faiths and kind of gets their spin on things, and I think that's kind of a really cool thing to do. Last series she talked about was different people in the film and movie industry. She's married to a film person herself, so anyway, that's kind of a fun one. I don't listen to that one religiously, but I do listen to it quite a bit. Another one that I really like is the 1A podcast. Now, Diane Rehm from NPR retired, although she is doing some other things now, which I'm glad for. But 1A has been a really great follow-up podcast where they have talked about not just political events, but some social constructs as well. And yeah, like today they did one, I guess it was aired yesterday, about dystopian literature and why people are reading more of it. So I don't know, I really enjoy that one. One that I like that is a faith-based one, which is more like progressive Christianity, not fundamentalist. I'm sure there's a lot of things that they might say that would really offend some fundamentalist Christians. But it is the Liturgists podcast, as well as Ask Science Meg. But the Liturgists, I really appreciate. They combine art, music, science, and pop culture to kind of talk about religious issues. And they've done some political ones. They did one on race last year that was phenomenal. No holds bar. They are not afraid of saying some really hard things and asking some hard questions of themselves. And I enjoy that quite a bit. So it's definitely more of a Christian bent, but they are not limiting themselves to being the all answers are their correct one. So another one that's kind of fun is Boy versus Girl, and that one is definitely not just for women. It's for both genders to kind of think about gender and sex roles and issues. They have some fun questions. Every episode, they'll do one question. It's a male and a female. They are not married, but they are friends. And they will each submit kind of a topic that they are talking about or thinking about, as well as a mystery topic submitted by a listener. And I really enjoy that podcast. It's gotten me to think about a lot of things since listening to it. Not that I ever really went by Mrs. before, but I've stopped checking the Mrs. box, and I now check the Miss box. As proud as I am of being married, they have some great arguments for why we shouldn't do that. So, yeah. A political one that I've really enjoyed is Pantsuit Politics. And this is two friends. One is more from the left, one is more from the right. And they do very civil, kind, compassionate, insightful conversations about political issues, which you can tell right now they're getting slammed with people listening, because it's just, we're hungry for civil discourse where people listen to each other, and I'm excited to get to participate in listening to that. Some book ones that I listen to, Book Riot releases so many good ones, so I only listen to a few. Occasionally I listen to the Book Riot one, but I was getting bogged down. I'm still way behind on podcast listening, but I like Get Booked, which is a book recommendation show. And I also like All the Books, which is where they mainly talk about new releases coming up, but also they have expanded it to include just some other books that they're excited about reading as well. Two history ones that I like, Stuff You Missed in History and the History Chicks. Stuff You Missed in History has been going for years. They were the first podcast I ever listened to. So I've been listening a long time. It's been through several different hosts, and it's put out by the How Stuff Works kind of group. And they have several other podcasts as well. But Stuff Your Mom Never Told You is also a really good kind of feminist leaning one. But yeah, Stuff You Missed in History, they go over political events, people, topics that you just didn't hear stuff about, or you heard some version of it, but not quite everything. History Chicks is another great one where they focus primarily on females in history. There's several different homeschooling ones I listen to, but I really like the secular or savvy homeschool moms podcast. I think that's correct. They hadn't been recording for a very long time, and I think they just released another one, which I haven't gotten to. I enjoy that quite a bit because it is not just from a Christian standpoint. Yeah. And my last fun one for just adults, it's one of my very favorites. It's Grownups Read Things They Wrote as Kids. It's a Canadian show, and I laugh so hard I cry. And I always save these for when I'm like really depressed, so I have none right now. I've already gone through the backlist. They have people come up to the stage. It's a live performance where they will read either essays or letters or short stories that they wrote when they were kids, and it's just phenomenal. One of my favorite episodes that I remember was a teenage couple that they'd been married for 30 years, but they'd gotten married from a accidental oopsie pregnancy, and they wrote letters back and forth to each other when they were kind of before they were figuring it all out, and one was trying to get a job, and it was just adorable. And they had their child read it, and that was kind of a cool thing. So finally, some podcasts for kids. The But Why podcast is great. It's different science questions or other questions that kids submit, and real short snippets, but they're fun to listen to. Barefoot Books podcast is put on by a publisher, Barefoot Books, and they have narrators read multicultural tales from around the world, ranging from anywhere from, I think, 5 minutes to like 25 minutes, maybe was the longest one. We binge listen to those for a long time. And Classics for Kids does classical music, which is a kind of cool thing. Read-Aloud Revival is the one that I listen to as well as they do, and it's just with Sarah Mackenzie from Amongst Lovely Things blog. She covers great book recommendations for kids and great read-alouds. So if you are a parent or a teacher or somebody who cares about kids literature, it's a great one to pick out. So I will talk to you all later. What are the podcasts you guys listen to? I would love to hear in the comments. I assume I'm probably not the only one who listens to podcasts. But those are my top. I seriously have way more than this. I listen to too much stuff. Talk to you later. Bye.